I mean, it's official. The Democratic Party has absolutely zero shame left. Senator John Thune took to the Senate floor and exposed the massive lie they're using to hold the government hostage, proving they are solely responsible for the very crisis they're blaming on Republicans. Watch the full clip with me. I'll share what I think afterward.
You have to give the Democrats credit for one thing, and that's a healthy dose of gall. Both the House and Senate Democrat leaders were out last week claiming that they can't fund the government until, get this, we solve the, quote, Republican health care crisis, end quote. That's right, the Republican health care crisis. It is truly amazing how a program Democrats created and tax credits that they chose to sunset have now become the Republicans' crisis. Republicans, in fact, never had anything to do with it. Democrats created Obamacare alone. They implemented the enhanced tax credits alone. And they chose a sunset date for those tax credits alone. Democrats are solely responsible for the Obamacare tax credit cliff. And yet they're trying to pin this disaster on Republicans while at the very same time they're asking Republicans to bail them out. It's really kind of ironic, Mr. President. Now, Democrats may not win a lot of points for truthfulness, but you have to give them credit for gall. Now, Mr. President, while Democrats may have created this health care situation, I have made it clear from the beginning that Republicans are willing to have a discussion about how to address it. In fact, I'm perfectly willing to guarantee Democrats a vote. But none of that is going to happen until Democrats reopen the government. We're not going to negotiate on anything until Democrats stop holding government funding hostage. And if they really want to address their Obamacare mess, they should stop running out the clock on a deal. And all they're doing by that action, Mr. President, is keeping the government shut down and enhancing, believe it or not, the chances this situation doesn't get fixed because the clock is running. Now, Mr. President, before I leave the subject of health care, I do have to mention the irony that while Democrats claim they're defending Americans' health care, their shutdown has actually suspended valuable health care services for a lot of Americans. Medicare and rural patients are currently dealing with the elimination of telehealth services thanks to the government shutdown. Telehealth, of course, increases the accessibility of care and lets those who live far from medical treatment or who otherwise struggle to travel to conduct prescription refill appointments or other visits from the comfort of their home. But that assistance is currently being denied to them thanks to the Democrat shutdown. But I'm not sure why I'm talking about shutdown costs. Democrats have made it very clear that they don't care about the costs of the shutdown to anyone. Democrats used to care, of course, or so they claimed. In fact, I could fill a book with Democrat quotes on how shutdowns harm hardworking Americans. But over the past 3 weeks, it's become clear that Democrats' previous concerns had more to do with politics than with principle. Democrats were against shutdowns when it served their purposes, and now that it serves their purposes, or so they think, to keep the government closed, they're all for shutdowns, no matter how many Americans have to suffer in the process. Well, Mr. President, I've talked about health care today, and Democrats would definitely like Americans to think that that's what this shutdown is about. But of course, the biggest driver of the shutdown is not health care or any other issue. It's the Democrats' far-left base. Left-wing activists demanded a showdown with President Trump, and Democrats fell in line. That's why you see the Democrat leader, who actually voted to fund the government in the spring, leading the shutdown brigade this time around. Far-left groups were rallying this weekend, and the Democrat leader and other Democrat senators were out paying homage. And if these same left-wing groups have their way, Democrats will be keeping up the shutdown for a long time to come. They don't really care about a solution, Mr. President. It's about politics. For the sake of the American people, let's hope that there are some Democrat senators who will eventually put the needs of their constituents over the demands of their far-left base and work with Republicans to pass the clean, nonpartisan funding measure that is saying right here in front of us today. And when passed, will be sent to the President and signed into law, and this government will open up again. Mr. President, I yield the floor.
The gall is just, it's amazing. This whole performance is just a complete collapse of principle, isn't it? I mean, it's not even hidden anymore. We all have the receipts. We've all seen the montages of Pelosi calling Republicans legislative arsonists for thinking about a shutdown. We remember Schumer on the floor screaming that shutdowns cost taxpayers billions and are bad for the economy. But that just proves it, doesn't it? It was never about principle. It was always just politics. It's only dangerous when a Republican is in the White House and they can use it as a political weapon now that it serves their purpose. I mean, now that they need to appease their radical base, they are more than happy to inflict that exact same pain on American families. It's just shameless. And this whole thing about a Republican healthcare crisis, I mean, come on. That's the most classic liberal deflection I've ever seen. They literally created this ticking time bomb themselves. They wrote the American Rescue Plan, they put in the temporary subsidies, and they set the sunset date. It's genuinely the arsonists blaming the fire department. They set the fire, and now they're screaming that Republicans won't put it out fast enough, all while demanding they, get a pat on the back for it. This isn't a Republican crisis. It's a Democrat disaster. And now they're holding the entire government hostage just to hide their own incompetence. But the sickest irony, the absolute worst part, is that they're running around claiming this is to save healthcare. And in the process, they are actively denying healthcare to the most vulnerable people, seniors, rural Americans, people who need those telehealth services, gone. All because of this Democrat shutdown. It just proves they don't actually care about healthcare for actual Americans. They just care about the political idea of healthcare. It's just a talking point they use to scare people. And if real people get hurt in the process, well, that's just the cost of doing business, I guess. It's a breathtaking betrayal. And we know this isn't about policy because Republicans offered them the adult solution. They said, listen, just pass the clean funding bill, reopen the government, and we will guarantee you a vote on your healthcare thing. And they said no. They flatly refused. That right there, that proves they want the crisis. They need the chaos so they can run to their friends at CNN and MSNBC and blame Trump for everything. This whole charade, it's just a pathetic performance for the radical anti-American activists who actually control their party. The Democrat leaders are just weak, spineless. They're terrified of their own base. They are ignoring their actual constituents, the seniors who just lost their doctor's appointments, all so they can pay homage to a few socialists who demanded a showdown with President Trump. They are literally burning the country down just for a political stunt. It's unbelievable. Leave a comment with your thoughts. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Appreciate all the support. See you soon.